reaction, and real talk collide. From celebrity tea to DIYs, reviews, and all things trending, I've got you covered. This isn't just a channel, it's a vibe, so pull up, subscribe, and let's get into it. Hey, welcome to Viral Vibes with Jocelyn, where trending topics, wild reaction, and real talk collide. From celebrity tea to DIYs, reviews, and all things trending, I've got you covered. This isn't just a channel, it's a vibe, so pull up, subscribe, and let's get into it. Hey, welcome to Viral Vibes with Jocelyn, where trending topics, wild reaction, and real talk collide. From celebrity tea to DIYs, reviews, and all things trending, I've got you covered. This isn't just a channel, it's a vibe, so pull up, subscribe, and let's get Hey YouTube, welcome. Come on in, the door is open, and we are here today. Boy, long day. It seems like the day after Thanksgiving is the worst. I don't know why. I hope y'all can hear me because I can't barely even hear myself. So let me check this out. Let me see. Okay, I can hear myself better. So today, the case that we're getting into, it's a very, very sensitive case. So I'm going to issue a trigger warning. So this case we're discussing tonight involves sensitive topics related to the child abuse and exploitation. While I will not share any graphic details, the subject matter may be upsetting or difficult for some viewers. So the case that I actually researched, because I want to just make sure I talk facts. I don't want to be on here just running my mouth and not being truthful. So this is the Zulock case. Okay, now the Zulock case is about a couple, a male couple, who adopted two little boys. And the things that they did to these boys, it's horrible. So we're going to get into that, and I will be telling you guys, filling in the holes, the pieces. So, okay, let's get into it. I don't like to waste no time. It's supposed to be fun Fridays, but I wasn't feeling a lot of fun today. So, all right, let's get into this case. Now, these people they did live in Georgia. It was William Dale Zulock, Zachary Jacoby Zulock, both in their mid-30s. They lived in Walton County, Georgia, Loganville, Atlanta suburbs. I didn't know that they were filthy rich. That I didn't know. I just found that out. And the victims in this case were two brothers. They were adopted as young children from a Christian special needs adoption agency. They were about 10 and 12 years old. No, they were 10 to 12 years old by the time they were sentenced. So, all right, we're not going to go no further than there. So we're going to just start this.
So it was right there in plain sight. This was their intention all along, is what I believe, which is why it makes it more sickening. The fact that people knew and they kept it a secret, but why wouldn't they? I mean, it was appearing. People, I will have to watch my words, so this video won't be flagged, so please work with me on some of the ridiculous words I might use. So William met Zachary in 2013. William was a government worker and Zachary a branch coordinator at a bank. They were also social media influencers, gay rights activists, known as the darlings in the community. They posed in Out magazine, they attended gay pride parades, the talk of their circle, quite popular, quite successful, quite wealthy. After 4 years of dating, on December 14, 2017, they became Mr. and Mr. Zulock. The Zulocks purchased 2 acres worth of land in Oxford, which is a suburb of Atlanta, a more affluent suburb of Atlanta. And in a blink of an eye, their mansion was built, a showpiece, decorated in everything rainbow. They paid over $900,000 for that.
Okay, I'm going to stop there because there was some other information that I did find that it stated that before the adoption, there was a lot of red flags in their background. There was reports that revealed that Zachary had been accused in 2011 of assaulting another boy. That earlier case didn't lead to a conviction. It says despite that history, the couple was still able to adopt these boys. Even though his case was not a closed case, they were aware of this. Why did the system not catch, or why did they not block? Why or block these people? I don't understand. It says the abuse allegations from adopting children, especially special needs kids, the standards are higher. So they really should have been flagged. They should not have been able to get these children. All right, let me go over here and start this video. Okay.
Set up. No one questioned where the money was coming from. A banker and a government worker is not pulling in that many ends, but let's continue. Less than 1 year later, the Zulocks decided that they wanted to adopt children, which could take months, even years. $900,000.
How did a government worker, and I can't remember where the other person worked, but how did they get this money?
Dollars for that setup. No one questioned where the money was coming from. A banker and a government worker is not pulling in that many ends, but let's continue. Less than 1 year later, the Zulocks decided that they wanted to adopt children, which could take months, even years, to adopt a child. The process is tedious and lengthy. You have to pass background checks, take parenting classes, several visits will be conducted in your home. They need references from various people. They go back years into your history, your credit, they try to find out everything they can. I know a girlfriend that went through it. You almost can have a traffic ticket. That's how clean your background they want you to have. Which I totally understand why. And it's a possibility that after you do all that, you may still be denied. So on November 7th, almost less than a year of their marriage, they would post on their social media page, quote, faster than we thought, end quote. They not only adopted one son, but adopted two sons, ages 3 and 5, that were biological brothers, removed from their parents who had a heroin addiction. The boys would be adopted from the Christian Adoption Agency, All God's Children in Walton County. Now remember that name, Walton County. So, I wondered how they adopted these children so fast. I mean, was it the huge mansion in Oxford? The fact that they're considered wealthy? The way it appeared like they had so much going for them? And why did this Christian adoption home overlook the fact that in 2011, Zachary had a case on him? Yep, that's right. When he was 24, he lured a 14-year-old boy into a residence where he R-worded him. Why did they overlook that in Walton County? The same county.
Now, she keeps saying Walton County. I wonder why. I'm very familiar. Is this county supposed to be big on this type of thing? That's I'm gonna look that up.
That crime happened in, it's also where the adoption was approved in. Amazing, right? I'm a papa to 2 boys. That is what Zachary posted on his social media page, where he documented everything. It looked like the boys were happy. They were on trips, showing pictures of them in school. It was like the Zulocks had it all. Picture perfect, a family. William and Zachary would tell anyone who would listen how they rescued these brothers from this foster care system. Their secluded mansion had cameras inside and outside. Mainly more cameras inside the mansion. Some would have thought that this was security, But it wasn't. They were recording 24 hours a day so that the SA could take part.
They said when they went into the house, the evidence they found was 32 surveillance cameras was in that home. They had over 12 terabytes of digital evidence, videos, images, messages showing repeat um, essaying in multiple rooms. You know, they terrorized these children. They really did.
In every room, wherever, whenever, however, and it did. It recorded. The brothers would be abused by both Zachary and William, taking turns on who was going to be filmed behind that camera. So not only are you abusing these very young children, but now you're on Grindr looking to see if other men would come over and help to do this with these children. Zachary had met a man named Hunter on the site. They started to communicate on Snapchat, and Zachary was proud to say that he was the father of 2 adopted boys. And oh, what he was doing to them. And oh, do you need to see the proof? And he would show it to them. That's right. He would send his...
Now, these kids were not just abused behind closed doors. It states that their pain was recorded, it was traded, and it was used as content by grown men for years. Like years, these boys went through this. I can't wait to see how they got caught. I try not to watch these videos. I just try to get talking points and, you know, get my true reaction as we're going through this. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go.
Friends and many more proof of what he was doing to these children. He would send them through emails, Snapchats, even regular texts. He had to prove that this abuse was really happening, that this nightly abuse that both these men were inflicting on their adopted sons was happening. Thousands and thousands of images. He had to prove it. Zachary told Hunter in a text message, quote, "I am about to go and truck my son tonight. Stand by." And then he would send videos of the abuse and bragged about it on the older boy. Who knows? Who knows how many pedos in Greater Atlanta were taken up with the Zulocks on their offer?
Well, I did find something about the county that they're in, and the county that the adoption agency was in, and the county that they lived in, and the county that the first SA happened. And it says that there was news reports that indicate several arrests and convictions related to child SAing in Walton County, Georgia. There was a ring. The feds went in, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, GBI. So I guess there's something to this. There's something to this.
Because they were practically giving these children away. If the brothers was not SA'd at night, they were physically abused during the day. They were slapped, hit, or made to stand in the corner for 8 hours, only to come out the corner to eat and use the bathroom. An acquaintance of the Zolocks was there when he saw William slap one of the younger boys. Even though the boys were now in school and they were very young, grades 2 and grades 3, by that time, they were a little bit older, but they knew not to tell anyone. They knew not to say anything about what was going on. They were bullied and blackmailed at home, not to say a word, probably told, if you say anything, you'll go back to foster care or you'll be separated from your brother. The brothers were told that our business is our business and what happens in the home stays in the home. And that's the way the children would keep it. So more than likely, they were definitely being mentally and emotionally abused, being it was already abused physically and the S abuse as well. The Zolocks decided that they wanted to grow their family, grow their money-making family. and was interested in adopting a toddler girl. At least 2 years old, they wanted her to be. I believe they had big plans for that 2-year-old girl. They tried to get in touch with all God's children, but they were closed down. So they got in touch with the lady that helped them get the brothers and asked if she could at least give them a glowing recommendation so that they can be able to adopt a little girl and grow their family. Thank goodness. Thank goodness before this would even take place, the police would show up to the residence of Hunter Lawless. Now, through the hit with transmissions that...
Okay, now Hunter, let me see, I did see his name in here somewhere. He was the co-defendant. They had two. Hunter and Lewis were later charged and received 20 and 60 years for the roles that they played. So I can't wait to see with the two cornballs what they got.
The child's pee was being sent in large quantities to Hunter. Hunter would tell the police that he was just receiving these videos. He was not recording them. He was just receiving the videos and pictures from two fathers that had adopted the boys. He said he had actually never met the boys, but was asked time and time again to come over and engage in this activity, but he said he didn't. So it was like a month.
They look creepy. They don't even look normal. You could look at them and say, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but these two don't look like they look like they up to something, especially that one with the hair color.
Months-long investigation that was started by the town hall about William Dale Zulock, 33, and Zachary Jacoby Zulock Jr., 35. They were looking into whether or not these men were SAing their adopted sons, and it was true. They had been doing it since they got them and brought them home. Almost 4 or 5 years of nonstop abuse by these men. Around 11:30 p.m. on July 27, 2022, police would knock on the door with a search warrant. As soon as Zachary opened the door, he was body slammed down by the police. They would find William in a bed naked. They arrested him and escorted him to the patrol car outside nude.
Good.
Now, William would tell friends or family because it was recorded. Now, we all know when you are in, prison and jail that these calls are recorded. They say that before you even place the call that it is recorded. But for some reason, William and Zachary, they received like some type of, I'm going to say iPad, okay? Some jail-issued iPad where they could communicate to family members for various things. It was a short amount of people that they can communicate. They couldn't access this any other way, and they couldn't communicate with each other. The husbands could not communicate with each other, so they would give messages to, tell the other one whatever they wanted to say. So that was actually being leaked by a friend or a family member. Who knows? So, William was talking about how, he had to sit in back of the police car nude from 11:30 p.m. to 4 a.m. while his home was being... He said he didn't know what they were looking for. Bullshit. He knew exactly what they were looking for, but he said he didn't know. And he told whoever he was talking to that he believed that this was happening because, quote, they didn't think Zach and him could afford the things that they had, end quote. Like the extremely huge mansion, the multiple cars. So he thought that maybe, or I think he was telling them, or maybe now that I think about it, it was probably 50-50. He probably didn't know. But I think it was more of, they thought that, because they was living this extravagant lifestyle on salaries that they actually couldn't afford this. So I think they thought it was something more along that line.
Definitely.
So while this was going on, the boys was taken to the hospital and examined, where there was evidence of sexual assault. And the 11-year-old was injured really badly during all this abuse. So while the 11-year-old was the older boy there was a 9-year-old one. But most of the abuse got inflicted on this 11-year-old child, even though the 9-year-old was still being abused. They both were being abused. So after this raid was finished, the investigators had seized 7 terabytes of electronic evidence. Now, I learned, because I wasn't quite sure, so I learned that 1 terabyte can hold between 200,000 to 500,000 images. So that's how many images they had. These terabytes was filled. That's how many images they had of these children, documented way back to when they first were adopted. They also had Zach had a folder titled Us, and it had more stuff on there with the abuse, their personal home surveillance, all those cameras titled Us, in additional videos. I mean, flash drives, and then the graphic text messages that they saved that was being sent to this peering.
This is horrible. This is so sad. Those poor kids, they went through so much. They went through so much. They were gagged. They were handcuffed. It's so horrific. It's a lot of things I can't even say. I can't even say the things that these 2 little boys went through. Ladybug. But it was horrific. It was horrific.
That they knew was out there. So thank goodness, the Zulocks were taken to jail. Now, William and Zachary Zulock, they took 2 special need brothers and abused them on film to be shared for anyone who got an enjoyment out of it. They pimped these boys out to any pedos in the area, and they didn't care about these children at all. They pretended to love them on camera so that the world could see on their Instagram and Facebook pages, and then they continued to abuse them during the night to selected people so that they could see, on stuff like Snapchat and Grindr. I mean, sickening. The boys, they went right back into a foster care system that probably had more problems when they first left. Just sickening and sad. Now, I listened to some of those, prison calls that were made by these 2 monsters when they first were arrested. So, they're sniffling and crying. Tell Zach I love him. Tell Will I love him. I mean, it was really nauseating.
I heard too, and neither one of them did the monster say, "Where's the kids?" Or it was all about them. So you knew that it had nothing to do with them wanting to adopt children and love children and give them a better life. They wanted to give themselves a nasty life.
Zach would say, "I know Will isn't doing well in there." He would also say that an inmate had poisoned him by slipping the inmate's prescription into his drink. He said that he had stroke-like conditions when the inmate had did this. Stroke-like conditions is what he said. And he wanted to go to, the hospital. But I think they took him to the jailhouse hospital. He wasn't happy with that. Plus, he was also saying that this inmate was going to beat him up. Now, William wanted to cry, but he said he couldn't because there was inmates around him and he didn't want them to see him crying. They were trying to get a low bond so they can get out, have house arrest, possibly an ankle monitor, and then later, they would turn on one another. We know that was going to soon come. Now, William said that, Zachary was a pedo before they met, which was true. It was true. And Zachary said William was the one that started it with the boys. That's how it really happened. That, Zach was making moves on the boys and then it just happened like that. They're like blaming each other. They knew what they did. They knew on those tens of thousands of images, they knew exactly what they were doing. William told a family member, "Brace yourself for the truth and tell Zach I still love him." That's what he told them. Brace yourself for the truth. I really wonder about Zachary and William's family, like their parents, their siblings. I really wonder how they feel about this situation, because they're very quiet now about it. I looked, I haven't found anything. Now, Zachary, he did have big concerns. It wasn't about the boys. He said he had to get out because he needed to cancel subscriptions like Disney Plus and Amazon and Netflix. I mean, that's actually what he said. He had to hurry up and get out because everything was hitting the auto pay and he wasn't working. And he had to catch up on their finances because the bills was piling up. I can't believe this. It's just ludicrous that they actually thought that they were going to release them so they can go ahead and pay their Amazon account. I mean, nuts, right? Now, William had another set of complaints too. It wasn't about the boys and it wasn't about the bills. It was about the food. He said it was terrible that they gave milk every morning and he's lactose intolerant. So I guess he wanted like a latte, no dairy, right? I mean, like, he really thought that they were going to care about the food that they was giving him. He said the bologna sandwiches and the soy patties was horrible. He said he wouldn't let a dog eat it, and he refused to eat it. So he said he wasn't going to eat anything. So needless to say, they were going to stay in there until their court dates. Both held in separate prisons until their court dates, and they cannot communicate with one another. They do not have immunity because they are married, that they have to testify against one another. If they don't, they will be in contempt of court, and that will be an additional charge on them. So they were not issued immunity. Now, Hunter Clay Lawless and Armando Vizcarra Sanchez, I believe he's also known as Lewis. I think so. I'm not quite sure. But those are the two men that I was looking up. Okay, they were the main ones that were getting the bulk of all these videos and pictures and asking to partake in. Now, I do know there were other men linked to this, but their situations, I guess, is either swept away or not really talked about too much, which I think is kind of messed up, really. So for some reasons, they became part of the witnesses to the Zulock takedown. The witnesses. I would think all those terabytes and flash drives and text messages would be enough, but obviously it wasn't, so they became witnesses. And Lawless and Sanchez, they also have criminal histories. Sanchez had actually R-word an underage male family member and had time for that. And Lawless had other situations that were, he also had some child P things going on, but he had other situations that was unrelated to the current situation that was going on. So again, both men appear to not have been on any recordings. And can you imagine these police officers had to sit there and look at all this disgustingness? Can you believe that? And they claim that they never even met the boys. And I only think that that part might be true because they were now witnesses. And, everyone was identified on these videos. And mainly it was the fathers. I do believe it was more outside people, but they probably can't find them. Or they're probably, hopefully, in jail. Really, Really. And Hunter Lawless, he did plead guilty for exploitation of children. His own situation, like I said. And Luis Vizcarra Sanchez of pandering, and again, those unrelated computer charges. So that's what they had going on. So I was happy to know that the Zulocks, William and Zachary, they received 100 years in prison without any parole. I was so happy to see that. Now, as I dug,
I would have pleaded for the the chair I can only imagine what these two men are going through inside of there. I did try to research it, and just like this young lady just said, I couldn't find anything else. Like what they're going through now, what no updates. There's updates on the children, but there's no updates on these two. They may not even be in prison. They might be sitting in their house chilling right now. Nobody knows.
A little bit more into this horrible situation. It may have. I know for a fact that, when it's a story like this that is so huge and big, they give the media a little bit. That's it. Can you imagine how much of this is being hidden? I'm pretty sure it's a lot because, like I stated, a government worker, I don't even know what type of government worker he was. He could have been the dude that approved the food stamps, right? I don't know what kind. And we all know that a branch coordinator, he's making some money, but not like that. So yeah, they were probably getting their money through these videos and the sharing of their children. I strongly believe that. I do. That's why they wanted this girl. Not because they were interested in this girl at all, but they wanted this girl because probably their clients wanted this girl.
Get her. Thank God.
Yeah, pedos can be choosy. And they wanted a girl. They wanted a little girl, 2 years old. And that's what they were trying to go out and get. I think that the money was coming in from the sales of those videos and the sales of these children. And I also had an inkling based on some other stuff that I read that it is a possibility that these brothers may have to had interact together. And I'm just going to leave that out there. I think that it may have been a possibility.
I didn't read nothing about that at all.
I mean, terrible, right? These boys right now, and going into 2025, they are 14 and 12 years old now. And I do hope that they are still together. I hope that they have found people that will take care of them despite their age and despite what they have been through. And I hope that it is mandatory that they continue to get the help that they need continuously. This help should never stop. For real. They should be 25, 35, 45, still getting help. They really should. Because what happened to them was sickening. And this cycle, won't repeat itself if they are continuously getting the help that they need. I mean...
Yeah. The rest of it is just her commentary on this case. But I think this is the first time I've been on Facebook Live. So I'm excited about that. I was having some interruptions before, but I'm working it out. Camera's looking a lot better. Everything's coming together. So I'm really, really excited. Very, very excited. Need to take me a nap. I'm really tired. I had worked Thanksgiving, cooked the night before into the morning, worked the whole day. So I'm a little exhausted. Burning the candle at both ends and still want to get some content out there. Went live for 2 hours on TikTok. So please, you guys, like, share, and subscribe. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Yes, at Viral Vibes with Jocelyn. Each platform is a little different. Like, I'm still trying to figure out where I want to be. I'm passionate about these type of things, children, CPS cases, all that type of stuff. So that's definitely going to be something that's going to be, I'm going to be focused on that. TikTok, I like to have a little more fun. YouTube, I like to do this type of thing with YouTube. So if you want to see the fun side of me, come on over to TikTok at Viral Vibes with Jocelyn. So this is the end of this video, and now I need to move over to the next platform before I move over into the bed and go to sleep. So I hope you guys had a beautiful Thanksgiving, and I appreciate anyone who spent 1 minute with me, 2 minutes with me, a second with me. I appreciate it. Just want to pray for the children. Hope God keeps them covered, protect them all. So you guys have a blessed night, and I will see You guys, again, thank you, Facebook, and I'm out.